Well, because it matters, and that's why the federal government feel they need to put a ban on those institutions and giving those degree certificates. The accreditation and evaluation of these universities have been put on hold, and the federal government seems to even would be going after those persons that were also participants in the racketeering, especially as it concerns getting those degrees from these foreign universities. But anyway, we're not far away from it, but rather right here talking about it and trying to make sense out of all of it. But let's quickly come back to you. In case you did get us in the first half, we looked at why it lingered for so long, that it was there and nobody took a stand, just only after that investigative journalism or journalist was able to bring it to the fold. And we also looked at the issue of why. Why? Is there an issue, just like our guests have said, the issue of us putting emphasis on certificates and titles rather than what the person can really do? Hence, everybody is willing to go anywhere and even might even be going to Niger to get certificates that they feel will put them in a better placement. But anyway, we're placing it as it comes, but as much as we said, or rather the minister said, he feels no remorse, or feels no pity rather, for those students, but rather he called them criminals rather than victims. I'm now being forced to ask, if the federal government feels the students are culprits in all of this, should the management of the National Youth Service Corps not also be asked questions of how they allowed someone who acquired a degree in just 2 months be allowed to go for a mandatory 1-year program under the National Youth Service Corps? So as much as we're throwing the blame to the students, should also the government agencies not take the fall for not doing due diligence in checking out before allowing them to be part of the mandatory 1-year program?
Of course, they should also take some part of the blame.
And it's been going on for many years.
Let's go back to the issue of Awudu Umar.
Okay.
The investigative journalist.
Daily newspaper journalist.
Yes. Now, although he intentionally entered into this
just
scheme
to see how it runs,
to bust the criminals. All right. But in this case now, the result he got carried the original seal of the school. The result he got carries the original signature of the registrar. Okay? Then the mobilization of NYC, the mobilization also came directly from the school. Okay? Then his passport.
Yes.
Everything was backdated to 2018. So you see, the arrangement was perfect. It will almost go undetected because everything he has done is genuine. It's not forgery. He did not forge it. Only he did not pass through the normal process of schooling. If not, the certificate was genuine. The mobilization was genuine. Everything he got was genuine. So it becomes very, very difficult for NYC institution to detect. The certificate he presented to NYC is genuine. If they go to the database of the school, it's there. That is to say, there is a high level criminal collaboration from the institution. So it becomes very difficult to actually apprehend the culprit. All right, are you with me now?
Yeah.
It becomes very, very difficult to comprehend the culprit, to detect that this guy did not actually attend this very school, unless there is a personal issue raised against that person. Somebody who knows him, who knew that this guy was with me in the said period where he had attended the school, he will almost go undetected. All right? So this is where we have the issue. But I am aware, I am privy to some information, to some things that happened within the NYC period where I served, that NYC had the ability. They have been detecting fake certificates and they have been prosecuting a lot of them. So I believe that they will take some blames, but we have to excuse them in this very situation.
Okay, now let's come to the repercussion of this university program on the nation. Because giving out a degree program in just 2 months, even learning baking or baking of cake and bread, you just can't learn it under 2 months.
Yes.
It even has to be longer than that, rather than having a degree in just 2 months. Like I stated earlier before on the end of the break, 100 level you did it in 2 weeks, 200 level another 2 weeks, 300 level 3 weeks, and 400 level and even your project and all of that, you did it in 1 week, because he said he did everything in 2 months that he got the degree. So let's look at the implication, repercussion of having such persons saddled with critical responsibility in the country. Yeah, the minister said yesterday that they would tell security agencies to go after them, but let's look at the damage already been done.
Now, let me come back. Let me redress some certain issues.
Okay, let's do it.
Now, the NYC, like in Taraba, they caught some students. Now, they claim to be foreign students from Benin Republic. Okay. The same Benin. One IPSO or ISTOP university like that in Benin Republic. One of them studied mass communication. Another one studied English. Now, during the NYC mobilization, they discovered that you said you studied mass communication and you cannot communicate to the masses. Another one studied English. You can't speak English. So it becomes suspicious. And they look at their certificate. It was forged. This one was forged.
Not even.
No, this one is different. It was forged. In fact, 2 girls from the eastern part of Nigeria was also caught, and the whole certificate, it was forged. So the truth is that when you acquire your certificate through the back door, you cannot defend it. There is a record from the NYC system too, that out of 20,000 graduates, about 3,420 can only defend their certificate. What is the implication of that? It means that we keep on having people in position that are incompetent. And that is why you see the country the way it is now. How will you say it? That if you move around town, you see people answering doctor this, doctor that, doctor this, doctor that. These people answering doctor without content on their head. How did they get it? Because of this issue of title. They believe that title opened doors in this country. For crying out loud, a doctor is supposed to be a farmer of thought. That is how he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be an inventor. He's supposed to be a solution provider. If you are educated, your mind is supposed to be educated. And when you are placed in a place, you are supposed to prefer solution. You are supposed to mint, you are supposed to extract solution and make life easy. And this is what we have in the office, in the political sphere, in the academic sphere, in the business world. Thousands of offices across this country. We have people who are manning our institution, people without ability, incompetent people all over the offices that cannot provide solution. And that is why you see Nigeria crumbling. But that is why you see our economy the way it is. That is why you see everywhere the way it is, because of incompetence. And it is so sad for us to come to this level.
Well, anyways, in case you're joining us, it's Quest today, and we're taking a critical look at that very revelation and the resultant action from the federal government putting a ban on degree evaluation and also certification from those major universities in Benin. Togo, we just heard Uganda is a part of it. Kenya, and funny enough, Niger Republic. Well, anyway, funny, but it is what's happening. And we still have no other person but our guest right here helping out with the discussion. But anyway, let's come to it, because as much as we've talked about the repercussion, it's only right for us to look at solutions, because that's where we'll naturally go. Now, many say that most of these countries are cashing in on our inefficiency, especially as it concerns the academic sector, and lack of seriousness on our part as it also concerns the educational sector. And looking at data we got from the CBN on sectorial utilization of foreign exchange, showed that foreign education got about $1.01 billion alone in 2022. And funny enough, the rate of the US dollar to the naira then was 448 naira to a dollar. That was in 2022. Only God knows what it will be if the revelation comes for 2023. That means most of these universities are indeed cashing in on our lack of seriousness as it concerns our own tertiary institution. So my next question is, how can we really deal with the issue bedeviling our tertiary institution and make them more competitive to help reduce some of these other countries, neighboring countries, Chad, cashing in and finding or dealing or feeling that we don't have solution, and then they're just giving our children, giving our students degrees that they cannot even use to be quality persons tomorrow. So what do we need to do to either revitalize our own institutions and also put them in that right pedestal that other countries would love to come, get the required and correct degree, and use it to better their lives?
Number one, Michael Ray, we need to re-evaluate our educational system.
Re-evaluate.
We need to re-evaluate. We need to overhaul. Now, you see, the issue of this certificate buying, certificate saga, we are just talking about the higher institution. That is not the genesis. Let us go back to primary school. Let us go back to primary school. Let us go back to secondary schools. Look at our environment. You discover that the rate of exam malpractices is eating deep into our young ones, to the extent that you see primary 6 go all over the state. You discover that during primary 6 exam, these things are copied on the board for them. Primary 6. How old is a child that is in primary 6? Less than 12 years. So less than 12 years, we have introduced this cankerworm into the mind, injected this very evil, this very idea into the heart of these people, that there is a shortcut to getting anything in education. Then they go to secondary school. In JS3, you look at them writing JS3 exams. Take a practical work during JS exam. You are a journalist. Go and investigate. I am asking you, go and investigate. Go to private schools. Go to government schools. And you will cry on what they are doing. They will write for them on the board. They introduce it to them again in JS3. Then go to SS3. We have special centers. I know you have heard about it before. We have miracle centers. We have come to my center and you have 9 A's. Then they introduce that to them. Primary, secondary, then their WAEC. They have introduced the process of shortcut, getting result through the shortcut to them. Then they go to JAMB, the same thing. They go to the university, they bribe their way out. Then everybody is looking at them. Nobody is doing anything about it. So if we want to get it right, number one, we must overhaul our educational system. Let us be serious about it. If there is a law that punish exam malpractices, let the law stand. Now, take for example, somebody was caught with NYC certificate saga, and he was jailed for 3 years or a fine of 10,000. What an insult to our educational system, that you forged a certificate and you are jailed for 3 years and you are given a fine of 10 years.
10,000 naira.
Of 10,000 naira. Come on. Now, that is number one. Then number two, we must shift our emphasis on this certification and title. If I want to get you employed into my system, I shouldn't look at what is your qualification. I will ask you, what can you do? I was an interviewer in one of the schools, in Delta State, and I was there. We were looking for a science teacher. I interviewed a graduate of engineering, a graduate of physics, a graduate of that. They performed poorly. I interviewed a young boy. He just finished his SSCE to teach physics. Boy, this boy was breaking down physics. I asked him question on nuclear physics. He outperformed everybody. This happened 2 years ago. What do? I have to employ him. Sorry, I have to make a recommendation that he should be employed.
Over the others.
Over the others. This is to tell you that if we can come back to the issue of what can you do, is far, far better than
what do you have?
What certification do you have? Now let me shock you again, Michael Ray. Take a statistical record of all our graduates who are traveling abroad, moving to the UK, to Canada, to US, to Spain, and so on and so forth. Take a record of those who are working with their certificate. How many of them are working with their certificate? Very low percentage of them are working with their certificate. What does that tell you? It tells you that they have moved from a theoretical country to a pragmatic country. That is how it's supposed to be. Let us shift from this, I have a PhD, I have a doctorate degree, I have this, I have that. Let us move away from those things. If Nigeria must progress in the committee of nations, if we must progress, if we must be placed in a better pedestrian, let us forget about this title and this certification.
So it's not a matter of just suspending some of these.
No, that is a child. What are they suspending? What are they suspending? The current Minister of Interior Affairs is embroiled in NYC saga, NYC issue. The current one of the ministers is also embroiled in NYC issue. You know, our former finance minister embroiled in NYC issue. Remember one minister of communication, Shitu, some time ago, was also engaged. So you discover that these things are rampant, is everywhere. Is because we are not looking at those who can actually do these things. We are just bringing those who, man, no man. How did the addition came into the system? How did she come into the system? From Ogun State governor introduced her to the president. Yes, it's a matter of man, no man. And when it gets to your turn that your person is there and you don't have a certificate, what happened? They will tell you, go and get it anyhow and come back and I will place you there. The undermining if you are competent enough to tackle the task. This is the problem. This is where we now have doctors who cannot even operate simple appendicitis operation neatly. I had a testimony the other day how simple appendix almost killed a young girl, because the doctor does not even know anything.
But what I do know is we need to go on a break now. And when we come back, we'll continue our discussion centered on the federal government suspension of degree certificate from some universities. And while it's indeed creating a whole lot of issue, especially as it concerns that very report that came out early this week, indicating that most of these universities are just giving out the degrees.